Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
When I was a kid, and even up until I'm not even kidding, like maybe 5, 7, 8 years ago, and I'm not super religious, but I go to church occasionally, and there would be that one phrase, peace be with you. Peace be with you. Shake somebody's hand, peace be with you. And whatever, I said it. I don't know what it meant until I realized that I didn't have any peace. And then I was like, oh, now I'm getting it. Now I put the pieces together. We're going to talk about getting your peace of mind back today with somebody who is very, very articulate in that area. She's the founder of Healthy Mindful Self. She's an excellent mindset. I'm going to say she's an expert at that. And also with that, along with meditation and mindfulness, she also deals in medication, having a very, very vast and long career in the pharmaceutical industry. And she's back with us. Dr. Lisa Nezneski is on the program. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, good morning, Steve. How are you today?
Peace be with you.
Peace be with you.
I never got it until I got it. But this whole thing, the feeling of just peace in your life, so important, right?
Exactly. One of the things that Brendan Burchard talks about is the people with drama, get them out of your life, and how much more peaceful your life will be once you get the drama queens, you've got to deal with some people that have those tendencies. You can choose to not react to it.
And there's two types of people in that area. The ones that just like to dredge up drama, talking about other people and what's going on, or the ones that create the drama in your life. Both not good.
Exactly. So the first one, where people like to gossip or stir the pot, as my dad used to say. That is really one place where you have to have some pretty clear boundaries. Where I used to have a colleague that would just keep me in conversation for hours. The first time I ran into this situation where I really had other things to do, but they were just yammering on about things that, honestly, I was trying to be polite to get out of there. This person followed me all the way into the ladies' room. So it was like, I have 5 minutes before my next class or before my next appointment. Can you summarize in that time period? So
Yeah.
I'm like putting very clear boundaries around this person that I knew would just suck up my time. And, all we have is time. If we manage our time well, then we manage our life well. So
I wonder, I've heard more and more lately about energy vampires. Now, if you believe in energy, and we're all energy, it's scientifically proven decades back. But there are people apparently that pick up on your energy and suck it away from you, or want to change your energy. And that's, I almost got that visual of just that person just following you around me for a reason. You've got a certain type of energy, positive, and they want a piece of that energy. And that's where you got to put up those blocks and, just push them away. Because they may take it away from you and you might not even realize it.
There are people that don't realize that they are doing that.
Sure.
But so, yes, I do believe in an energetic connection between people as they're talking. And oftentimes it's a heart-to-heart connection. My heart is connecting with your heart now as we are speaking. And it feels good, when we have that connection and we're really communicating well. And energy vampires set themselves up to reinforce that good feeling, but they're actually pulling more away from you than it's not an even exchange. You and I, when we're talking, it always feels very even. You bring up a good point, I bring up a point, and it's back and forth and back and forth. But they set themselves up to continually be the victim, the taker, and caregivers, oftentimes women, will, I can help you with that. Volunteer their energy to assist them, where you're not even aware of that. So
Hmm.
being very aware and protective of, uh, especially when someone comes on too strong too quickly, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and we talked about that boundaries a long time ago in self-care. It's interesting. I met with somebody over the weekend and I was connected with them much closer, a year or so ago. They needed some business help and I was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." You know, and I could just feel their energy just it's I'm not there anymore. It's the best way I can describe
Yes.
it. I've
Yes.
moved in a different already a year now. I've already moved in a different direction. And I was just like, helped him out. It's like, check came, split it. It's like, all right, well, hey, good luck. It was just I just didn't feel it. Like I wanted to
Right.
help, but I could feel their energy not being where mine is at. And just we change or we realize.
Yes, exactly. And you have these fond memories of working with someone in the past, and they've changed and you've changed, and you realize how different you are in that
Mm,
interaction,
hmm.
that you can't help them to the extent because they're in a different place than
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. That's important. And when I'm taking on clients, I do a 1 hour interview with them to see whether or not we are in the right place to be able to work together and move forward. Um, I spontaneously gave a gal a scholarship to work with me. I just felt the need to that she was not going to take advantage of me, and she hasn't. And what's really fascinating is that she's rallied to the challenge. She sends me her medication information pretty much on a daily basis now. Like, I'm responding this way, that way. And it it reinforces, not only was it the right choice for me to give this person a scholarship, it also reinforces her journey, that she's making better choices because she feels accountable to me. So
Hmm.
it's a very interesting situation, and I'm really glad that I offered that, because it really is important for us. I've got the knowledge. I've got to find the people that can use that information. And as I said, I do offer scholarships. I also have paying clients, but it's important for me to have the right cadre of people that I can help, you know, because I can be very demanding with my customers. I want them to move in a certain way. And if you're not ready to move, then they will back off and not get the progress that they need. But if you're ready to move and you're excited and you're enthused to work with me, we're going to take off and we're going to move forward. One of the things that we started to talk about was multitasking. So I'm very good at compartmentalizing my life. I've got a section of time that I'm working on McKesson, and a section of time that I work on these kinds of things and working with customers. Um, but when I'm doing that, whatever it is, like we're here at podcast time, right?
Hmm.
I'm not doing anything else. We're here together, very focused on our conversation, because as I said earlier, multitasking is a myth. Your brain cannot really focus on more than one thing at a time. And when we're talking about peace of mind, when someone's pinging you, right before this podcast, I had someone, you got to pay this bill. She's pinging me, just reminding you, very kind, very nice. But it's like getting ready for podcast, so I couldn't really focus on that.
Yep.
I'm focusing on this. So I felt the anxiety start to rise in my chest. My heart started to speak to me. And so I thought, it's okay if you pay it at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's focus on what the more immediate thing is at hand.
Do you do
So that,
this? Do you do this? Because I find myself, and I'm thinking you might. Uh, let's say you have a task you're working on, something else crops up. You want to take care of it, but you shouldn't, because you should focus on what you're doing, but you don't want to forget about it. So now it's still stuck in your head. And part of you just says, like what you just described, Lisa, let me just take care of it and get it out of the way. But it's not the right thing to do because you're focused on something else. Does that
Right.
happen to you? Like, and
All the time.
and you
Yeah.
don't want those
Yeah.
things floating because it's one extra layer of gunk in your head that, put it on a post-it note now. Okay, maybe that works, whatever. But things floating out there.
Well, yes, exactly. So you're right. Putting it on a post-it note, but I have a paper calendar as well.
Sure.
I'll open it to the day when I can handle that and then put it in there and close it and then it's out of my head. But those things, those I want your attention grab it's happen to me during meditation. That thought comes through.
Mm,
You forgot to take the clothes out of the dryer, something
mm,
like that. So
yep.
it's like, okay. So and my thoughts usually go, and you can see I'm going like right to left on um, they always enter in the right side, and I train them to leave out the left side. So I have a couple of techniques that I use particularly when things are coming at me from different directions. The first is the 3 breath technique, where you take 3 deep breaths and it resets your nervous system, and then you're back into being very focused in a
Hmm.
more relaxed state. And when you are more relaxed, the better ideas come in. You might think you're on that edgy feeling when I'm really doing a great job here. You're honestly not when you got that edgy feeling, because you're going down a direction, but who knows if there's something better that
Yeah.
might come in if you're more relaxed.
You're
Like,
not fresh. You're not fresh.
no, nor are you receptive to
Mm,
those ideas. So anyway, the techniques, the 3 breaths. Another is, as you're particularly in meditation, I like this one because as thoughts come in, I like something very concrete to focus on. So I'll focus on the figure 8. So with an inhale to the top and then exhale to the bottom of the 8 and inhale back up to the top of the 8. So I'll try to do it on the screen so that you can see. So inhale to the top and then exhale to the bottom. And I just over and over the figure 8 breathing is what I call it. And as my attention's following that breath as it's moving through, and it really helps me focus just on my breath rather than some of those intrusive thoughts. And, Steve, if it's really that important, you will think that thought again. You won't forget about it.
hmm.
And
Hmm.
and even if you do, what are the consequences? You deal with it then, you know?
You
So
know, there's also something to be said about when somebody is thinking about something, you have to make a decision. And it's like, let me sleep on it. Well, there's some credence to that because you've got a fresh mind when you wake up to think about it. Or like to your point, don't react right away. Like the other day, I was going through my personal bank statement and I saw the electric bill. I got charged twice. I'm like, really? Hmm. Put it on my calendar, call them first thing in the morning because it kind of bothered me because they automatically take money out. And then I went back a day late. I didn't get to it. So I took it on my calendar, just dragged it to the next day. I looked at my I looked at my bank statement just because I had to check something else. And the second entry was gone. So
yes,
that was on a PC. Originally, I looked on my phone. Maybe it just appeared there, double, whatever. But apparently, and I looked on the electric company account, and I didn't see it in my billing, but I saw it on the app. So if I reacted, I would have just wasted my time. I would have killed probably minimum 20 minutes. So I just tapped the brakes and it went away and it resolved itself. Apparently it was an error and the app showed it incorrectly. And I had double proof now, the billing statement and also
right,
my bank account. So
exactly.
I trust it's okay now. But if I just like, oh well, I'm gonna pick up the phone, I would have just wasted my time. So
Yeah.
maybe it's good to take some time before you react on something.
Well, I like the idea of sleeping on things.
Mm,
I do. I used to tell the kids that if you need a decision from me, because I would wake up really early and I'd be working, and by 6 in the evening I was tired. And I know myself that when I'm tired, I don't make good decisions. And so I would tell them, it's better if you ask me these first thing in the morning when I'm
Hmm,
fresh, and then I can give you a good answer.
sure.
So I used to say I don't make decisions after 6 p.m. at night.
Hmm,
Yeah. Um,
I like that.
I have another that I don't buy things after 9 p.m. at night.
All right, I like that too.
Yeah.
It's
So I
like a
find
safety.
myself,
It's a safety.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I find myself in the tub, scrolling on Amazon
Yeah.
and putting things in the buy later category rather than, I'll put them in the cart and then I'll move them to buy it later. I won't actually purchase anything at night. So
I really
that's
like that.
just really
Hmm.
um put some distance between the impulse and the actual expenditure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so having the space, and one of the things I was talking about last week in my group that I teach on Tuesday nights, I have a Tuesday night mindfulness group, and I was talking about space between thoughts. That the more that you meditate, the more space you allow to happen between thoughts, because you will think during meditation. It will happen. There will be thoughts, but that space allows something better to arrive.
Hmm.
And the quiet space allows your mind to rest from those thoughts. You're giving it permission to not think. So,
Huh. So how
yeah.
do you do? Okay, so you meditate.
Mhm.
Um, do you find that the space in between the thoughts gets spaced further out? I think a good thing. The more you meditate.
It's easier to have longer spaces the more you practice. The number of thoughts sometimes I find is dependent on what's going on in your life. If you've got a lot of stressful things going on, a lot of things will enter your thoughts, but you're able to say, okay, I'm thinking right now, and then let it float away. Like, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so you can name a thought, you can do the figure 8 breathing, you can invite it in and just ask it to have a seat. Come on,
Okay.
thought, have a seat,
Okay.
and I'll
All
get
right.
back to you. So there's several techniques that I use primarily in this beginner's meditation class on Tuesday nights that I mentioned. And those are as I'm guiding them through the thoughts that show up, I'm giving them the suggestions on what to do with them. And hopefully they're following along. Sometimes I can see in the group that they've gone way out. They're really in some deep spaces. So and this is a beginner group,
Sure.
so it happens quite easily if you have that intention to allow your mind to relax.
You know what it reminds me of, Lisa? It's almost as if the thought came in and you put it in the waiting room. You'll be waiting for a little
Mhm.
while. Please take a seat over there and I'll get back to you.
That's exactly what it
That's
is.
what it felt like. That's what it felt like. I want to share lyrics from a song called Peace of Mind. Came out by Boston. I believe it was their first album. We're talking like mid 70s. And we talk about peace of mind in all different areas, but that also includes work. And that's my interpretation of this song. This is the chorus that is said a number of times. I understand about indecision, but I don't care if I get behind. People living in competition, all I want is to have my peace of mind. And there's
And
another
remember that.
section here where it
Yeah.
says, now you're climbing to the top of the company ladder. Hope it doesn't take too long. Can't you see there will come a day when it won't matter? Come a day when you'll be gone. And basically,
Yeah.
the song ends with "Take a look ahead, take a look ahead." So it's people telling you, now everybody's got advice. They just keep on giving. Got to quiet the noise. You can go over there for now. I just want my peace of mind.
Yes, exactly. That's a great song too.
It
I
is.
remember that. And it does reinforce that all we have is right now. We have this moment. And if we're allowing all of these things to come at us. Energy vampires, people who want to suck our time, uh, uh, competitive thoughts. We're not in that moment. We're being a victim of our own thoughts rather than being in control of our thoughts and emotions. So that's what mindfulness really helps you when you're saying you're in that moment. You are here, you are now, you feel the connection, this conversation is in this moment. And someday when we're gone, do you want to be that person that said, "Oh, I didn't have enough things on my to-do list before I died." You know,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Hmm.
It can happen, there's a lot of stuff about, regrets of the dying that, you know, uh, do you want to live, or do you want to, go through life with regrets because you didn't live those things?
Like the song said, it'll come a day where it won't matter.
Exactly.
So which would
Exactly.
you rather have? The craziness, people vying for your attention, unsatisfied, all these different areas. Or would you like to have your peace of mind where you can just say,
Oh,
oh,
clearly for me, peace of mind.
yeah, you
Peace
don't
of
know
mind.
until you know. So
Yes.
I feel you have to go through maybe the craziness or things going on there until you realize
Yeah.
that, oh, what's missing? Oh, that's what that is.
Right.
You know?
Right. I had some work done at the house, and the inspector came, young man, and he said, "Oh yeah, I meditate twice a day."
Wow.
So this is a guy who's in his 30s, and I'm thinking, okay, this is good. This is really good. This younger generation, I admire them so much. They've figured things out that are so different from the generation. Like I was visiting my aunt and my uncle over the weekend, and they're a completely different generation, completely different mindset, you know. And I'm sort of looking like, which way do I want to see the future go? I want to see that our young working professionals are in charge of their emotions in their life through mindfulness. It just feels better, like that the world isn't going to self-destruct if we have more people that are aware of that.
Yeah. And I see it too. I might have mentioned before, I'll go into Starbucks and I'll look at the barista or a few of them and notice that they're wearing, energy type bracelets. And it's like, oh, chakra colors. Oh, oh, interesting. Now, I don't know if they know truly what it is. I got to believe they probably do because many are
Yeah.
very specific and are not going to do something unless it has a meaning, but
Right.
super refreshing. And I hear from schools and teachers that they offer now meditation classes and all of that. And I hear from those administrators that it's filled up. Like there's a waiting
Wow.
list.
Great.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, we're getting there. There's even like, I want to say 5 years ago, my kid's elementary school, there was one teacher that she was doing yoga and meditation. She would take like meditation Monday. She would just take some time. All right, everybody sit on the floor and it just get into a zone. And like, I'll bet you some parents probably called her out on that. Like, what the hell you doing?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Taking a break. Taking a break. It's
Right.
okay.
Right. Right. There's no nothing other than helping them manage their emotions in that moment, because kids need to learn that. That's as valuable at school as any of the intellectual courses that they teach kids,
100%. 100%. Isn't
yeah.
it funny, Lisa, that all of the stuff you really need to learn, well, a lot of things, you don't, but then they'll teach you things that, what am I going to do with that down the road? Like, I was going to say deep science, but that is you.
Yeah,
For me,
exactly.
not so much.
For me, it was history. I could care less what happened in 1776, except, for the well, I got back into it after the musical Hamilton, but
Yeah, well, but for me, I find it a little interesting. But even math, like deep algebra and all of that, it wasn't
yeah,
my thing.
yeah,
Um,
I've always enjoyed that stuff,
yeah,
the formulas and figuring it out. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, there's a certain movement to teach kids that wrote, math, science, reading, English, those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm happy for it.
Same.
So
People are finding peace of mind. Maybe they don't know that they are, but and that's why that's why you're here. If somebody can't figure that out and doesn't even know what peace of mind is or even how to attain it, that's one aspect of what you do when working with people. Starts with a conversation. That's it. At your website, it's free initial consult, right? Just to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Just go to www.lisanezeneski.com, and there's a contact me form right there. I've arrived at this point in understanding what I want out of life with peace of mind through a lot of trials and tribulations, personal changes that I've gone through. And I understand when you have issues, whether it be a health challenge or other types of things like that. I wrote about them in my books, and I'm continuing to refer back to them. When I said mindfulness is a myth, I think there's a whole chapter on that in the 7 mindful questions. So I'd be happy to hear from the audience. I'd like to offer them to, when they go to the website, there's a spot that says 5 minutes of chaos-free, something to that effect. So it's right on the homepage. It's right under my picture. Sign up for that. Get on my mailing list, and then you'll hear all of the different things that I'm doing, like the Tuesday night sessions and so on.
Final thought here, and you just made the connection and reminder for me, but because of your pharmaceutical background, if your peace of mind lies in managing your medical situation,
yes,
that's you. It's all right there. If you need help in that area, and so many of us do, caring for aging parents and such. So yeah, go to the website. It's again, your name. Is there a doctor in front? I'm trying to remember now. You even said it. No,
no, just www.Nezneski.com.
Awesome. Always great having you on here, Lisa.
Thank you, Steve. You too.
And peace be with you. And I really mean that.
Peace be with you. Exactly.
It's the truth.
And also with you.
And also with you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.